Our scripture reading this morning comes from the book of Hebrews, and it was written to a group of church people who were going through a pretty tough time of turmoil and persecution. And it's filled with a lot of encouragement and hope and motivation. It's kind of a go get 'em, get her done, gig 'em, go frogs kind of book. Hey, that was a sports reference. So I expect some mention of Broadway next week from you. Before we do the scripture reading, I want you to take a second and think about a time in your life when you were going through something painful. Maybe it was something that you did that you wish you hadn't done, or maybe it was something that somebody did to you, something that happened to you that you didn't think was fair. What was it? What did it feel like? How was it resolved? Where was God? Hear these words from Hebrews chapter 12. Endure trials for the sake of discipline. God is treating you as children. For what child is there whom a parent does not discipline? If you do not have that discipline which all children share, then you are illegitimate and not his children. Moreover, we had human parents to discipline us, and we respected them. Should we not be even more willing to be subject to the Father of spirits and live? For they disciplined us for a short time as seemed best to them. But he disciplines us for our good, in order that we may share his holiness. Now, discipline always seems painful rather than pleasant at the time, but later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who've been trained by it. God is portrayed here as a parent, a father, a loving father who disciplines us. Notice I didn't say punishes us. God disciplines us. I think we tend to punish ourselves quite enough when we do something wrong, when we mess up. Discipline kind of has two meanings. There's the discipline of the one who administers the discipline, and there's the discipline that you receive or the discipline that you take onto yourself. It's never fun, discipline. Often it's quite painful. It's hard for the one doing the discipline. It's hard for the one receiving the discipline. Now, I don't have children. I have lots of advice on child rearing, but I don't have any children myself. But I have parents, so I know a little bit about parental discipline. My dad had a lot of creative disciplines. If you're ever interested, just ask me. I can tell you about that. But there's one very simple act of discipline that stands out to me. I was about 11 years old, and at the time, high school students could drive school buses, and so my school bus driver was a high school senior, and one day on the bus she made a nasty comment about one of my friends from church. Her name was Penny, also in high school. So, I was 11, they were in high school, so I wanted to be liked by people in high school, so I told Penny what Lisa had said about her. It really wasn't anything bad, and I didn't have any business telling her Penny what she said anyway. But I just wanted to stir the pot a little bit, get some attention, and then Penny would like me better, right? Because I was loyal to her and told her what Lisa had said about her. Well, it didn't end with me telling Penny that. Penny went to the principal and said, I heard that Lisa told the whole bus this about me. So I got called into the principal's office. I had to tell him. I mean, it just turned into this great big thing over nothing. And I was just in complete turmoil. So I went to my daddy. I told him what happened. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. This was the worst part. Lisa's brother, the school bus driver, her brother said he put the word out. He's going to beat me up. I didn't know what to do because I'd never been in a fight before. So I went to my dad. Daddy, help me. Get me out of this. He looked at me square in the face. He said, son, you got yourself in this. You're going to have to get yourself out of it. Are you serious? He didn't do anything. He did not lift one finger to protect me from that bully. Luckily, it all worked out. I didn't get beat up by him. But yeah, you know, I don't believe God sends stuff like that to us. I don't think God sends bad things our way to teach us lessons. But I also don't think God swoops in to fix everything for us when we mess up either, or when things don't go wrong. Painful stuff just happens. And sometimes it's of our own doing. We open our mouth, insert foot. Sometimes it's somebody else's doing. Sometimes it's in your genetic makeup. Sometimes you don't know why. But bad stuff happens. But the thing we have to do is to live through it, to endure it, try to keep a joyful attitude, not necessarily happy, a joyful attitude, and learn from it. The movie we're talking about today, we're in our summer series, Seeking the Sacred in the Secular. Ooh, got it. The movie is Ray, and it's about Ray Charles, the singer from the Deep South. He was born about 1930, and he suffered a lot of loss in his childhood. When he was 5 years old, he saw his 4-year-old brother drown right before him in a laundry tub. When he was 7, he lost his sight. When he was 10, he lost his father. And when he was 15, he lost his mother. That's a lot of life for a little fella to handle. And it's not fair. Life's not fair. You know, some people can't see. Some people can't walk. Some people battle addiction to alcohol or drugs or gambling. Some people battle depression. Some people in this world are starving. Some people starve themselves. Some people cut themselves just to feel something. Some people seem like they don't have any problems at all, but they do. Everybody's got something. And it's easy to get self-absorbed in that, in your own problems. And you think they're worse than everybody else's. And we lose perspective, and we just want God to fix everything. Help me. Fix it. In this clip we're about to see, Ray has just lost his sight completely. He's been losing it bit by bit. Now he's completely blind. And he's making his way around a new world that's dark and unfamiliar, and it's not easy. Let's look at this clip. He fell. He cried out for his mother. She did nothing. She said nothing. He reached his hand. He almost put his hand in the fire. She did nothing. Did you see her face? She wanted nothing more than to go to him, grab him, pick him up, hold him, make it all better. But she knew that would do him no good in this circumstance. He had to learn how to stand on his own. He had to find his way around. His mama knew he had the strength inside of him to do it, to grow, to learn. When he was lying on that floor, crying to a mama who would not come, he thought he was all alone. But he stopped crying. He trusted in the strength he was born with, and he stopped yelling, and then he was able to listen. His other senses heightened dramatically. He could sense what was around him. He was able to discover new things. And his mother was thrilled, happiness to tears, when he discovered that cricket. And that was when he heard his mama's breath. And he discovered he wasn't alone. She'd been there the whole time. You know, as we discover the inner strength that we have inside of ourselves, sometimes we take it a little too far. We rely on ourselves too much, or we reach out and try to find other ways to make ourselves feel good, to cope when things get tough, in a bottle or in a needle, or in trying to please other people. We get ourselves into trouble and we don't pray, much less listen for God's breath in our lives. In the next clip we're going to see, Ray has become a huge success. But he's relied on his own talent too much, and he's started to push everyone out of his life because of his erratic behavior. He's on heroin now. He was arrested in Canada for possession of heroin, and he was facing felony drug charges and an uncertain future. Let's look at this next clip. Ray's life was a mess. He cheated on his wife so many times. He was an addict. He was in trouble with the law. He lost his focus in his life. He let go of his responsibilities, his wife and his children. He forgot why God created him, to make music. He had become self-absorbed again, but this time it was full of external satisfactions. He needed to stop and listen, but he couldn't. He was at the mercy of substance and wealth and fame. Life is about balance. That's what I'm discovering, and it is a thin, thin line. Like living a balanced life. That's what Jesus means in the Sermon on the Mount when he says the path is narrow and the road is hard that leads to life. That's why Proverbs tells us, trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding. When we rely on self alone, then we run the risk of hitting that place known as rock bottom. And so many times it takes that to get us into that position of humility, on our knees, arms wide open, heart exposed. God, take control of my life. Now, luckily, our God is not a one-answer God. God knows what we need when we need it. And when we have nothing left, God will reach down, pick us up, hold us until we're strong enough to stand on our own. The good news, that's why we're here, good news. We don't have to hit rock bottom to get into that position of humility. We can make it a way of life, a disciplined life where we grow through our pain and into God's love, knowing that He is there all the time, whether He picks us up or if He's silently cheering us on in the wings. Listen to these last two verses. Therefore, lift your drooping hands and strengthen your weak knees. Make straight paths for your feet, so that what is lame may not be put out of joint, but rather be healed. Healing is what it's all about. Reflect on these questions.